I'm Mary Sonic, and I want to welcome you back to our video series on lead user methods. In this video, our focus is on how lead user teams identify important emerging needs in their targeted markets. This research occurs in phase 2 of a lead user study. It is very critical work because it lays a foundation for developing new product and service solutions in the next phases of a study.
First, Professor Eric von Hippel explains important principles that guide the team's research into emerging needs. Next, lead user team coach Dr. Joan Churchill explains the methods that teams use to gather high-quality market information. Finally, Professor von Hippel shows you how teams go about selecting the specific emerging needs that will drive solution development.
Let's start with a key principle that will guide our search for emerging needs. Recall that lead user research is based on the observation that lead users have needs that are ahead of those being experienced by most users in a target market. So, in a lead user study, the team identifies a target market's emerging needs by studying conditions that are in the present for users at the leading edge.
Lead user teams start the search for emerging needs by identifying important trends in their target market.
In lead user studies, important trends are those currently affecting the needs of lead users and that will continue long enough to affect the needs of the users in the much larger target market that follows. Let me illustrate with a lead user study conducted by a major food products manufacturer in the 1980s.
In this study, the lead user research team was charged with identifying a new type of nutritious snack food. The targeted user was the recreational athlete. Among serious competitive athletes, the team identified a trend toward nutritious snack foods that would improve their sport performance. Strong evidence suggested this trend would grow and ultimately spread to the targeted recreational athlete. Thus, it passed the test of an important trend for that study.
At the conclusion of the trend analyses, project teams will have identified one or a few important and very specific trends that may create promising opportunities for the team. Next, the team will go forward to learn about the needs of users at the leading edge of those trends. Lead users are often able to clearly describe needs that are unarticulated for target market users because they've actually created prototype solutions and they've tested them in use.
As illustration, in the snack food lead user study, the Olympic athletes and trainers could tell the research team exactly what the snack should do for their performance and how it should be formulated so it would be easy to consume during competition. These lead users could articulate what they needed because they had actually developed and tried out a range of prototype solutions.
It should not be difficult to identify trends and related emerging needs that are affecting your target markets. After all, you're interested in important ones. You're not trying to be subtle here, and these will be clear to many experts at the leading edge. However, learning about these trends does require a systematic search that goes beyond the conventional information sources that your company routinely relies on, such as in-house experts and consumer data from your marketing department. Next, Joan Churchill explains the methods that lead user project teams use to achieve this very important goal.
In lead user studies, teams begin by doing background reading in current trade literature. Then, to obtain the most advanced market information, team members interview top experts and lead users. Next, Dr. Churchill shows you how these core research activities are approached by lead user teams. But first, some background on the lead user study conducted at Pitney Bowes that will be used for illustration. Pitney Bowes is a global provider of systems, software, and services to help businesses of all sizes manage their mail and messaging. In 1999, James Eichner, Vice President of Advanced Technology at Pitney Bowes, initiated a lead user study to identify new e-commerce opportunities.
We wanted to understand better the emerging needs of shippers as a result of an increase in e-commerce transactions. We knew that the way that the internet was changing the way people shop and also the way retailers sell. We thought that we might find new opportunities to extend the offerings of our shipping services subsidiary.
Early in lead user studies, teams typically hold a 2-day workshop that is exclusively devoted to scanning and discussing current professional literature. Now, what can be accomplished with this kind of two-day blitz? Actually, teams find that this is a very useful activity.
Well, Pitney Bowes has already developed a thorough understanding of the shipping business over the last 20 years. However, the literature scan enabled us to quickly move up the learning curve regarding issues specifically related to e-commerce shipping. Also, the articles and journals we scanned gave us a wealth of context for the interviewing process.
Team members do further background reading after the initial two-day literature review. Then the research focus shifts to interviewing experts and lead users.
The overall purpose of the interviewing is to obtain information that is really new, that goes beyond what you're going to find in the literature. So it's important to seek out the top-level experts in the fields you are researching. Teams work their way to these top experts using a telephone networking process that we have described in earlier videos. Now, what types of experts should the team interview during Phase 2? In this area, we can give you a few guiding principles.
Lead user teams start out interviewing experts who know the major trends in their target markets and experts on trends in other related fields as well. For example, Pitney Bowes team members interviewed trend authorities ranging from government regulators of e-commerce practices and researchers working on advanced shipping technology to leading e-tailers and shippers.
One of our key early interviews was with Mark Stevens, president of UltraX, a very successful shipping company. We decided to interview him because UltraX is radically consumer-driven and is at the leading edge with its technology that enables people to get what they want, both when and where they need it.
Once teams identify the trends that are important to their projects, the focus shifts to learning the specific needs of leading-edge users. As illustration, the Pitney Bowes team consulted with lead user Jen Hessler, president of the Online Auction Users Association, a group of small e-tailers that does high-volume shipping.
Jen, I remember, emphasized the limited availability of funds, and she also spoke about the types of package processing techniques she really needed and placed even more emphasis on convenience. These points amazingly served almost as a set of requirements for any home-based shipping product.
The team also consulted with anthropologist Genevieve Bell, who was studying how the Internet culture was changing consumer behavior.
Our consultations with her were very useful in helping us to identify ways that current shipping services are a mismatch with the expectations of sophisticated web users.
Pitney Bowes team members conducted over 100 interviews during this phase. This is common in lead user studies and makes it essential for teams to meet weekly.
Weekly team meetings might sometimes be very short. For example, progress reports over brown bag lunches. However, periodically, I'd say every 2 or 3 weeks, you'll want to schedule a longer meeting to sort through and organize all the information that your team is gathering.
At some point, teams find that the same themes keep coming up in their interviews. This is a good sign that it's time to begin the process that in lead user research is called framing the customer need. Framing the need is the final activity in Phase 2. It involves doing a major synthesis of the trends and needs information gathered. The outcome is a decision regarding your target markets and the specific needs that present the most promising business opportunity. Now Professor Eric von Hippel takes you through the need framing process, again using the Pitney Bowes study as illustration.
A good need framing establishes a clear focus for the next phases of the lead user study. It also makes the information gathering much more efficient because you have a clear focus. In a typical need framing session, team members first present the data that stands out to them as important from their interviews and readings.
In the Pitney Bowes session, an array of shipping problems came out in the initial presentations. To cite a few examples, among smaller e-tailers, the high cost of shipping was one major complaint. Another was the lack of an integrated shipping system.
Many e-tailers told us that the lack of an integrated shipping system was a key cause of inefficiencies in their delivery and receiving operations. For example, often the shipping software isn't tied into the order entry software, or that our printers and scales can't talk to each other, so tasks often have to be done manually.
Team members also talked about major shipping woes reported by e-tailers of all sizes, such as inadequate systems for managing inventory, inefficient techniques for processing merchandise returns, poor methods for interfacing with customers.
All of our customer service representatives are busy.
When presentations are completed, the next very creative step involves thinking about different ways to combine the information into a meaningful framing of the key needs in the targeted market. What happens here, as team members consider the many pieces of information that have come out, a few key themes begin to emerge as important, and the puzzle starts to take shape.
In the Pitney Bowes session, one theme that stood out was the critical e-tailer need for a total system of tools and services that would simplify the shipping process and make it more efficient for both the e-tailer and the consumer. This potential need framing struck the team as a good match with the key shipping problems cited by both small and large e-tailers. And very important, it presented a major new business opportunity that capitalized on Pitney Bowes' strengths. The team also considered other ways to creatively integrate the trend and needs data before reaching a decision regarding the most promising need framing.
We were really excited about the overall strategy that came out of our session, and that's because it included some directions that would be new for Pitney Bowes. Let me give you an example. Our current primary focus is in business-to-business shipping, but the team identified compelling needs in the consumer and micro-business segments.
A final note on the need framing process. Teams do not do a careful quantitative analysis of the market at this early stage. It is important, however, that the framed need pass the qualitative test of, if we can do this, it will be clearly very beneficial for the company.
In summary, project teams begin to uncover emerging market needs by identifying key trends from the viewpoint of top trend experts. Next, members learn the needs of users at the cutting edge of these trends. By the conclusion of this phase, the team has zeroed in on a specific set of important needs. The team will go on to develop solutions to address these needs in the next project phases.